Anyways, this is Mitch from Pick Dogs here with the Puck Dogs. Puck Dogs, their last day until Friday. They're going to take a little break, and then we'll drop the puck right on center ice on Friday when the games get going again. But I think they've well-deserved rest. They haven't been through the grind of video with me before, so they hit the ground running, and mad props, man. Mad props. Most people can't keep running with me, and that's okay. But Chris has done it before on the writing side, so he knows what it's all about, and he works with Randy, so good luck. I would say Randy is, I don't know if he's faster than me now as far as producing content. I could always keep pace with him, and we're probably pretty even. But he's kind of kept the writing side, and I've done the video side. So it's like we're all cranking, and Chris, of course, I mean, he cranks. I could tell you how many articles he did last month, like over 400, right, or something. So there's crazy amounts of content that we're producing, and I'm really excited. It's the holiday season. I also, before we get started, I have to send out a special thank you to our friends at Apple, who put on my calendar that tomorrow is Christmas Eve. They sent a little reminder. I have like multiple accounts, I guess, with Apple or with Google Calendar, I think it is.
They did that with all of us.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just so thoughtful of them just to remind me, because I would have forgot, I would have forgot.
Oh, I'm so appreciative.
It's so weird in Hawaii Christmas. It's like you don't really see it, It's like there's no snow, there's no really Christmas decorations. I mean, there's some, but it's like you really don't see it. Yeah, Willie Lewis, we've all done this before, man. I did a whole video on this, It's like the games I should have played and the games I wish I didn't played and all that other stuff. It all balances out in the end. But we got tons of hockey, tons of NBA and Monday Night Football. Let's get it started with Monday Night Football. I did a video on this. I got a premium pick on it. But what are you guys thinking? This is a really big game. It's the Packers and the Vikings. It's a monster game in the NFC North. The Packers 11-3. They're looking at a home field spot in a first-round bye if they can get the win here. Meanwhile, the Vikings, I'm not sure what happens if they win. Are they in the driver's seat? Because I know they lost in Green Bay earlier this season. Not really sure. Does anyone? You guys know what the scenario is here?
I'm not too sure the playoff scenario.
I'm sure one of our readers does. I'm sure they'll talk about it a ton tonight. But not really sure.
The Vikings clinched the playoff spot virtue of Saturday on the Rams lost, so the Vikings are in.
Yeah, but I believe if they
win,
they're in the playoffs.
First, right?
But it's tonight. But this game is for the division.
And they still have a chance to win the NFC North if they can win their final two games, and the Packers lose their final two games.
Yes. All right, so
otherwise,
the Packers still need to lose for the Vikings to clinch the clinch the division, and that would be huge for the Vikings because they do have a really nice home field advantage there in Minnesota. But Chris, what are you thinking tonight in this one? Packers, Vikings. Public is all over the Packers, but major inverse line movement to Minnesota.
Yeah, before the line even came out, I was looking at this game and I had it around 23-20 or 24-20. And for me, that hasn't changed. I still think it's going to be a tight game. I'm going to take a shot with Green Bay and the points here.
How about you?
I'm going to go the other way. I think I'm going to take the Vikings here. Vikings minus 4.5 is what the line I've seen this morning.
Well, the Vikings are 6-0 at home this season and 4-2 against the number. The Packers 4-2 against the number on the road. This has all of the makings of a really good game, and it might be sort of like that Cowboys-Eagles game where it was like the Eagles kind of dominated, but didn't really convert a lot in the first half, and then the Cowboys kind of hung around, you know, and gave themselves a chance. And as we've seen all season long, they don't know what to do with it once they have the chance. They just can't do it. Be interesting to see who the next coach of the Cowboys is. Like I said, I've thrown a few names out there over the last year, and I still say Lincoln Riley has got to be on that list. And I also think that Chris Peterson, stepping down from Washington, has got to be on that list. Jerry Jones has had no problem taking college coaches before. He took Jimmy Johnson and Barry Switzer, both directly from the college ranks. So I don't see him having any problem whatsoever taking a college coach. But, you know, there should be some other guys available. If you go a different route to maybe one of these young coordinators or something, you might be back in the same thing. You might be just back in the same space again. So yeah, if you have your own picks, Willie, the place to put those is in our Facebook group. So, you know, if you have picks, that'd be awesome to put them there. But thank you for happy holidays to everybody out there. I'll be on tomorrow and on Christmas Day. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about on those days because there's not going to be a ton of games. But you guys know I always find something. But there are some games. But we'll find other stuff to talk about.
I was just looking at it. If the Packers lose out and the Vikings win out, the Vikings win the division, and the Packers could drop to the 6th seed because they lose the tiebreaker to the Seahawks and the 49ers.
So 6th seed could send you to probably right back to Minnesota, is my guess.
No, they can't get the top seed.
Right, but a 6th
but they
seed,
send it right back to Minnesota.
If it's a 6th seed,
yeah.
If it's a 6th seed, if they drop to the 6th seed, that means the Vikings would win the division. The Vikings would be the 3 seed in the whole thing, and that would make it Packers Vikings playoff. We've seen that before. We've seen that before. So exactly the same scenario, but I think it was at Green Bay, and I think actually. If the Packers don't win out, and who do they play next week? Bears? Vikings play the Bears. They play the Lions, I guess. The Lions are terrible. They're not going to beat anybody. What would it take for Mike Tomlin to leave the Steelers for the Cowboys? I would say there's 0 chance of that happening.
Yeah, how?
Yeah, no.
I don't think that Mike Tomlin would do well with Jerry Jones. I just don't. Let's go to the NHL. We got a lot of games here. Got to get cranking. Rod, Leafs and Canes.
For me, the Leafs have been on fire. They've won a bunch in a row. So was Carolina. Carolina lost their last game. I'm going to go with the Leafs here at home, and I really like the under here in this game.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm on Toronto as well. It's like Rod said, they're just clicking right now. The Leafs are on fire offensively. And these afternoon games in Toronto don't happen very often, so I think the team will be up for it and go into the holiday break with a win.
How about Calgary and the Wild at 5 p.m. Eastern? So this is how when I wrote my letter to baseball commissioner Manfred, this was sort of the scenario that I sent him, where you have 2 weekday daytime games at a staggered 3-hour start. Basically, I said start them around 1 o'clock Eastern time, and then the other one at 4 o'clock Eastern time, and then have your regular slate of games. And do it every day of the week during the summer, because you already have daytime games on Thursdays and sometimes on Wednesdays in baseball. So it really only take a few extra day games a week in order to facilitate that. But Commissioner Manfred never wrote me back. He never called me. Doesn't write. Jilted me.
It got lost in the mail.
I thought it was a damn good idea. And watch, someone else will put it out there, and they'll love it, you know. But Flames and Wild, Chris.
Yeah, Calgary throttled Dallas yesterday, and I was on the wrong side of that one. But the trip from Dallas to St. Paul isn't a short one, and with this being a quick turnaround, Calgary playing Sunday night, and then having an afternoon game here. I like Minnesota considering how strong Minnesota's been at home.
So it was actually the anti-Dallas parlay would have hit yesterday if you would have gone against all three Dallas teams. you would have hit yesterday. So I had Dallas in the NBA, but I didn't touch the hockey, but I had the Eagles on the money line. Everyone knows that. But how about you, Rod, for this one?
For me, the Flames are 7-3 in the last 10 in Minnesota. I'm not worried about the back-to-back here. I'm gonna ride the Flames, the hotter team. They're playing good. I'll take the Flames here.
How about the Bruins and the Caps?
For me, Washington's 8-2 their last 10. For me, the big story here, I think Washington's going to be motivated. A 15-year-old kid that they've been all sponsoring and happy just passed away on Sunday of cancer. And it's Obi's good buddy. This Washington team is going to be up to win one for him. I'm going to take Washington here.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, and as much as I love the sentimental stuff as well, we can't also ignore the fact that Washington's owned Boston. 17-5 in the last 22 in Boston. I'm tired of trying to figure out when Boston's going to turn this thing around. So I'm going to go Washington at plus 105. I'm also going to take the Caps in regulation at plus 175. And I'm going to go reverse puck line as well. Washington minus 1.5 at plus 305.
I'll tell you, these Bruins, they remind me a lot of the Red Sox in the way that they've been playing. I like the Pacers minus the 6.5 against the Raptors. The Raptors have been playing well, and both these teams are on a back-to-back, but I think the Pacers are kind of, I like these kind of teams that nobody really, jumps on board. It's like, I think if people jumped on the Warriors after they finally started winning championships after all those years, I think that they'll jump on the Pacers too at some point, but that point hasn't come yet. And the Pacers are 13-3 at home this season, 10-5 against the number, while the Raptors are 8-5 on the road, but also just 6-7 against the number on the road. The Raptors have definitely been playing better since I badmouthed them on the show. And they're 6-4 in their last 10 straight up, but 4-6 against the number. But the Pacers 7-3. The Pacers are just playing some mean-ass defense, and I think they're just really tough. I'm going to take the Pacers. We've been riding them plenty. I love the defensive teams. They don't have the thing about the Warriors that kind of drew everybody in, even though they were so bad for so long, right, before the recent run. The thing that drew them in was Curry, hitting those shots. And there was all these reasons where you could justify your being a bandwagon fan, right? There was a lot of reasons to be able to do that besides just that they're winning. You could kind of say, well, I love Curry, or right? But, it's basically your bandwagon thing, right? is what that was. But the Pacers don't really have that. Maybe if they get Oladipo back in the lineup. It's weird when Oladipo came out of college, and I looked at the NBA draft, and you can go back and look at the live shows that I did with Tony T back then, and you could hear me say this. I said when Oladipo came out that in that draft, he was the one player that I thought had the most potential to become a Michael Jordan type player, and I do think he's not a Michael Jordan, but I'll tell you what, he really is an awesome player, and if they can get him back, man, they are going to be a handful. Because look what they're doing without him.
Without him, yeah. Oh, yeah, for
Crazy
sure.
Stuff. Also, I like the Sixers here against the Pistons. I've been down on the Sixers more than anybody. I have. I got hammered, even when I first just started this YouTube channel, a month in before it really started gaining this massive momentum that we have right now. I said some things about the Philadelphia 76ers, and I got hammered. It was really the first hammered comments I've gotten on this YouTube channel. And since then, of course, I get them every single day because every time I lose a game, we get these rocket scientists who, after the game, tell me that I lost. It's like, I kind of know the scores. And I like the ones, the other one that I got yesterday this was the best one. I got one that, why do I embarrass myself by doing these videos? Because, you're just guessing and you lose. So obviously, I go through all these statistics. I go through all these things on the video and start talking. I do them every single day. And this guy looks at one video and makes this comment. It's like, who are these people? And it's like, what rock do you live under? And, you know, more importantly, who are your parents, man? Seriously. Who are your parents that would raise a kid or raise a person to have this, you know, that their purpose in life is to go around to someone else's YouTube channel and make wild guesses about them? It just doesn't even, you know. I know you guys say, oh, ignore them. It's not that easy. It's not that easy. But I like the Sixers in this one. I've been down on the Sixers. We do have, you know, the line is going with the Pistons here. But I was on the Pistons a lot this season at home, and then all of a sudden the floor kind of fell out. They went from 7-2 at home to 7-8. Yeah, if you have questions, if you have picks, L.A. Lopez, the place to put those is in our Facebook group. So that's where you can really get engagement and people like answering your thread about like, you know, I really like this team and I really like this team. You know, you can put that in our Facebook group and everyone will engage with you. So it's like putting it here in the YouTube comments, really not the place for it. But that's why I always encourage people to put their own picks in the Facebook group. Yeah, that's what it's there for. It's growing every day. I'd say we add probably 25 to 30 people in the Facebook group every day, and most of the people in there are fairly active. I'm not saying every day they're active, but I'd say, you know, they're not just numbers. You know, it's not just numbers. It's actual people that are engaged. Just like our YouTube, you know, people. You can look our YouTube video. We don't just have a growing subscriber base. Our views are also going up wildly on top of it. Enough that YouTube thought we were doing something funny for about 2 hours until they actually dug in and looked at it. See, the one thing that you have to appreciate about YouTube, and I mean, there's a million things that you could say a million different ways about them, but they looked at the quantifiable data and they said the numbers are the numbers, you know, and there's no argument there. Not everybody has that ability. Anyways, we got the Islanders up against the Blue Jackets, Chris. The Isles have been playing pretty decently, 6-3, 0-1, but the Blue Jackets quietly really not too bad either. Plus 1.5 on your money here. Not the best road team, but they haven't been getting blown out on the road either. They've been playing they've been in a lot of tight games on the road. A lot of tight games, and 22% of our friends on the Blue Jackets.
No, and you're right. They haven't been getting blown out on the road, but I like the Islanders here minus 1.5 plus 160. The Islanders they've beaten up on Columbus recently. They've won 5 of the last 6, and New York usually does their best work at home. So I mean, and I'm also going to take a bit of an odd bet here. 4 of the last 5, also one team gets shut out. So I'm going to take both teams to score in 60 minutes. No, at plus 425.
You know, I think when you look at this game though, and you know, I look at your pick, and you know, normally I don't say anything, but this time, sometimes I say something. It's like I never do anything wrong. I didn't do anything. It's like, yeah, right. You did something. My wife was here. She would probably actually make a rare Carrie appearance on the show and say, you did something. Anyways, Islanders just 7-11 on the puck line at home this season, while the Blue Jackets are 11-5 on the puck line. So that's why I think that 1.5 is just really kind of a reach for me. Go, Rod. I'm sorry. I can't. It's like I'm all red.
For me, this Columbus team, they won 4 in a row. They're playing good hockey. I'll take Columbus here on the money line. I'm not going to try to chase this Islanders team at home. I think Columbus can come in here and get a win. Columbus on the money line at 1.5 times your money. Thank you. This looks like the Flames game yesterday.
Got Got the Flyers and the Rangers. This is a classic. You know, you got the New York Philly battle with the Flyers. We've been getting really nice value on them, Rod. I mean, that's why we've been on them, right? It's not just that they've been good, but also we've gotten ridiculous pricing on them, especially on the road. But here at home, where they've been off the chain, they're minus 185 against Chris's favorite player, Lundqvist, and the Rangers. It just seems like a big price. I mean, I like the Flyers, but it's like, do I like them at minus 185? Or is there, is this a potential puck line? Because the Rangers 11-5 on the road at the puck line. They are, once again, Lundqvist, he can definitely bring you to the edge of the river, no doubt about it.
Rangers are 1-6 last 7 in Philadelphia. Philadelphia's won 3 in a row. I'm not getting off the Philadelphia train. I think the Flyers win here by a couple. I'll take the Flyers on the puck line, plus 140.
How about you, Chris?
And that puck lines stuff, you're starting to talk me into it. So I'm going to regress a little bit to Philadelphia in regulation. It's for the same reasons. I just think that Philadelphia continues their strong form at home. And this is another game where I'm going to try to sprinkle a little bit on both teams to score no in 60 minutes at plus 600.
Yeah, I mean, these are surface numbers, so you have to kind of look back at the recent ones, Yeah. But they lost 4-3 in the shootout in Anaheim and 2-1 against Montreal. 3-2, they beat Columbus. So they've played in quite a few fairly tight games in here. I don't know. I think it's always something to keep in mind. I'll go back to the NBA since I got nothing else to talk about. Well, I got college hoops. And I think the Warriors against the Timberwolves. This is another game with a late line. The Warriors are 6-24 this season. The Timberwolves are 10-18. The Warriors are getting 2 points at home in this one. I think this is one that they win. It's going into the holidays. They're home. They've got 6 wins on the season, 3 in their brand spanking new $8 billion arena. I don't know. I think this is just the time that the Warriors kind of step up in this game. I'm going to take the Warriors here in this one. I just think that I think they're too much. Well, it's not that they're too much. The Timberwolves are so bad. So bad. I mean, so bad. What do you do, in Minnesota? You have good young players that are kind of should be at that age where they're not the good young players anymore, where they're like a good core. And then you can't win a game. I mean, they can't win it. 0-10 in their last 10. 1-8 against the number. These are like Pelicans numbers. I mean, that's what we got here. We got the Bolts taking on the Panthers. A little Florida battle here, Rod. What do you think here?
For me, this Tampa Bay team just owns Florida. They love to kick Florida up and down the rink. I'm gonna take Tampa on the puck line here today. Florida's 1-8 the last 9 in Tampa. Yeah, I'll take Tampa here on the puck line.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm on Tampa Bay in regulation as well. I like all the trends that Rod brought up. Tampa Bay, I think, snaps Florida back to reality after a nice win against Carolina on Saturday.
I like the Panthers in this one. I'm just going to throw it out there. This to me is just way too much value. I'm getting better than 1.5 times my money on a team that's 7-5 on the road against a team that's only 9-7 at home. And plus, the Lightning, hardly decisive winners in their games, 6-12 on the puck line at home. The Panthers, 10-5 on the puck line on the road. So even when they're losing, they're just missing, 6-4 in their last 10 for the Panthers, 5-4 in the last 10 for the Lightning, and I'm getting better than 1.5 times my money. It ain't going to take a lot of convincing to get me to take the Panthers here. Got Ottawa up against Buffalo. I think these two teams play at least twice a week. I mean, it just seems that, these are kind of those generic NHL teams, and they kind of just say, all right, we got the Caps and the Bruins, we got the Kings and the Blues, we got the Oilers and Canucks, Montreal, Winnipeg. All right, Buffalo Senators. We'll just throw in the Buffalo Senators. Flyers, Rangers. It's like Buffalo and the Senators. I don't know, man. This Buffalo team is kind of, once again, one of the more disrespected teams out there. It seems they're a dog every single night, and they can't. It's not like that they're not paying off, because they're 17, 13, and 6 on the season, 5-3-2 in their last 10, while the Senators 4-3-2-1 in their last 10, but 15 and 18 on the season. Yet they're favored here, or no, the mild home dogs against the Sens, against the Buffalo. Chris, what do you think here of the Sabres?
Yeah, you know how people say that you have that inflection when you really love a game? I love Ottawa here. Buffalo's lost 12 of their last 14 outside of Buffalo, and Ottawa, it's like I keep saying, they keep playing well on home ice. They just took Philly to a shootout on Saturday night. So I like Ottawa here, and I like Ottawa in regulation at plus 155.
I'm going to back Ottawa here at home, too. I like Ottawa here at home. I think Ottawa can maybe even hit the puck line. I'm going to sprinkle a little on Ottawa on the puck line.
Rod loves the Coyotes this season. They're on the road here against Nashville. It just seems every time we take Nashville on the show, they lose. I sound like one of the YouTube commenters. It's like, you guys lose every game. Nashville, you lose every game. Well, that's impossible, because we're 17-12. But it just feels that way, right? What do you think, Chris, about Cashville against the Coyotes?
I've said before on this show, I try not to read too much into Arizona's past trends, because this team's a lot better than the team that was producing when those trends were around. But Arizona's historically struggled on a back-to-back. They've lost 4 of the last 6. They've lost 4 of the last 6 on no rest this season, including 3 straight. I think Nashville makes a statement at home going into the break with a win here.
How about you, Rod?
Yeah, who's Coyotes going to put in net on this back-to-back? Their main guy is hurt. He's questionable. So is he going to play? Probably not. Probably be Ranta again. So him on a back-to-back.
Either him or Aiden Hill, one of the two.
Oh, that's always some nobody. Yeah, I'll take Nashville on the puck line here at home. I think this is just a bad spot for the Coyotes.
How about Winnipeg against Montreal? Is the price right here? Plus 105 on the Canadians.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Montreal stumbled against Edmonton, but this line feels fishy to me. For as good as Winnipeg's been playing the last couple months, they're only minus 125 at home. Montreal's had Winnipeg's number lately, 15 wins in the last 21 meetings head-to-head. I'll take my chances with Montreal here.
And I'm going to go the other way. I think the Jets here at home. I'll take the Jets on the money line here. Be a close game. I don't see this being any blowout game.
Yeah, I think it's a 1-goal game either way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna head to the bowl game, the Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl. What kind of name is that for a bowl game? I mean, this is one of the worst ones out there. This is probably the worst bowl name since the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl. I just think that Central Florida's. They started the season really hot, and then they kind of cooled off. There was a diagram out there to beat them, and Pittsburgh and Cincinnati were able to pull that off, pretty well. I don't think Marshall has the offense to do that to them. I think that they have the defense to kind of do some things to them, but I don't think they have the offense. The issue here for Central Florida, I mean, Wimbush isn't playing so he can so he can get ready for the NFL draft. What's he going to do? Watch it on TV? I mean, I don't see Wimbush as an NFL QB by any stretch of the imagination. Maybe he's going to become a different type of player. if anyone noticed that, the Houston QB that was really good, I saw him in that Eagles game playing wide receiver or tight end or something. He was good. He can run, man. That guy is good. We knew he was a great player. And I mean, you look at Chris's New England Patriots, and they have 2 quarterbacks that play wide receiver on their team. So Julian Edelman and Sanu, both college quarterbacks that play wide receiver in the NFL. So, I could see that. The guy who's really missing though here for Central Florida is Killens, the running back. He's the type of guy that you give him the ball, boom, he's gone. He could score a touchdown almost every time he touches the ball. He's that type of running back. And I think that hurts UCF a lot, but this is a home game for them. This is a home game. And they lost that game at Cincinnati. They lost the game at Pittsburgh. They don't lose at home. This game's at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. That is a home game for UCF as far as I'm concerned. I like UCF in this game. I don't see how Marshall can keep up with them. I think we've seen the good and the bad, the ugly for Marshall over the years in these spotlight games, as I like to call them. And, we either have the Marshall team that kind of like comes up, plays the hard defense, and then surprises you with some plays here and there. Or you have the one that just has no punch in the offense and can't show up against. I don't see it, UCF, yeah, Killens is a big loss, but they're stacked at running back. I don't see it. I'm taking UCF here. I'm laying the points. I don't love this game, but I might have just talked myself into actually betting it.
I like UCF too.
Chris, you got any thoughts on that?
I'm just going to take a shot on Marshall. It just seems like a lot to me.
I don't blame you. It's one of those games. I don't have a premium pick on it. It's like I used to give premium picks on like every bowl game, every NCAA tournament game, everything like that. Now I just try and stick to the games I really like. And it's like, I think it's just because then other people are like, well, your record is this and your record is this. So because I would say normally my old thought process was, all along the last 12 years is that if I'm going to give people, if people are going to buy a subscription to my premium area, then they probably want to know my pick in that game, and what I'm thinking, if it's the only game on. But those are the ones that kill me, So it's like I'm not going to do it anymore, and I'll just tell everybody, if you want to know it, here it is. We're on the Blackhawks and the Devils. The Blackhawks, 15, 16, and 2, they're kind of just hanging around. Is this a team that if they can get to the postseason, they could, all it takes in the postseason is a hot goalie and a couple of good goal scorers and some guys that have been there before. And I think we have that all with the Blackhawks. You throw in a couple of young players and, man, not going to shock anyone if they make a run in the playoffs. But, the Devils are terrible, right? They're bad. They've gone from bad to worse at this point. Rod, anything going on here at the Madhouse in Madison? I know a lot of my friends will be at this one.
Yeah, the Blackhawk fans are going to be right happy today. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to play their little song and do their little dance. The Devils in the third period, I seen this stat, and it's like they're ranked the second worst team in the third period and giving up goals of like a plus 26 goals in the third period. I'll take the Blackhawks on the puck line here. I think they can run right over New Jersey before Christmas.
How about Corey Crawford? Is he kind of still there? Is he kind of like, is he part of the problem?
Well, he's struggling. He's struggling. I think he's lost 6 of the last 7 starts. He's given up like at least 3 or 4 goals.
He's been traditionally, even when they won the Cup, I always thought, and Quinville would always defend him, and so would his teammates. But like the game against Boston where he gave up 7 goals, and they asked Quinville at the end. He's like, well, the other guy gave up 8. And it's like, but Crawford gives up, traditionally, a lot of bad goals, right? Just bad goals. And to me, it's like he can make amazing saves, he can win games, but he gives up a lot of bad goals, like bad ones, The puck takes a lot of funny bounces against him because he lets it happen. I don't know. I never was a Crawford guy. Never was. Even when they won the cup, I was the other guy before him was really good. Really good. He wanted so much money. What was his name?
They won a cup with him. Niemi?
Yeah.
Niemi.
Yeah.
Niemi.
Got Vancouver up against the Oilers. Tell you, you look back and speaking of goalies, man, those old Oiler teams, they had it down pat, man. They had Grant Fuhr and Andy Moog. It was like, it really didn't matter. It's like you had two goalies like that. It was like you got Fuhr and Moog, and you got Gretzky, Messier, and Curry all on the same team. Along with a bunch of other guys. Yeah.
Hunter, Kevin Lowe.
Ridiculous.
They were stacked.
It was unfair.
Glenn Anderson, just stacked.
But we got this Edmonton team who's been hot and cold. 3-6-1 in their last 10. They're kind of on a colder streak. The Canucks, they're treading water. They have been all season long. 5-5 so far in their last 10. -135. I look at this one, I see somewhat of a coin toss. How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm still going to side with Vancouver here. I mean, Edmonton scuffled in this building over the years. They've only won 8 of their last 26 at Rogers Arena. I mean, Edmonton's been all right on the road, but I still like the Canucks and their firepower at home. I like Vancouver here on the money line.
And I'm going to take a shot with the Oilers here. Going into the break, I think the Oilers will carry the momentum from the last win and get another win here. I really like the under in this game. I don't see a whole lot. I don't think we're going to have a shootout here.
I think on this question here from Ed, I think that the issue that the Chiefs have here is that in order to go, more than likely, they would get the first round game against either the Titans, Steelers, or whatever, right, in the first round, but they would go to New England in the second round of the playoffs, and if everything holds as is, they'd have to go back to New England where they beat them on kind of a rough call there, and Tom Brady generally takes offense to those sort of situations, and usually, acts like he some kind of weird attitude, right? He has like this weird smirk on his face, but he usually takes care of business in those sort of games. And then if they happen to get through that game, then the prize would be to go to Baltimore. That's a pretty tall order because I think if you parlayed the Chiefs on the money line if you parlayed the Chiefs on the money line for all 3 of those games, if you just took the money, so you couldn't straight parlay them right out of the gate, but if you took the money, if you bet $100 on the Chiefs in the first game, and they're going to be minus 200 or something, right? So you have $150. You take your $150, you put them on the money line at New England, and then you take the $150 and put that on the money line at Baltimore. It's going to be a bigger payer than plus 700. Is my guess. What would they be at Baltimore? What would they be? After facing 2 weeks of that, on the money line, what are they going to be at Baltimore? I'm not saying on the points wise, but what are they going to be on the money line at Baltimore? Plus 170, plus 200. I don't see them being in the discussion of winning that game. So if you want to bet it, I think that might be a better way to do it. Is just kind of have a little side thing going on where you put $100 on them in the first thing, and you're going to be minus 200 or even more. Then you have $150, $130. You take that, you put a money line on the next game against New England, which then that's going to be your bigger payer, and then then you take that same money, you put them on. So you put them on that same money against Baltimore, and you're going to be way ahead of that plus 325, especially if they win. And then you put it all on them to win the Super Bowl, and you're going to be ahead of that plus 700. no doubt. So I don't see the Chiefs being favored against the 49ers. I don't see the Chiefs being favored against the Saints. I think that would be close. Those would be close games. Those would be close lines. Those would be like -2, -1 like we saw last year. All right. Anyways, that is an interesting question, but I just think that betting strategy of what I just said, for me, is just a better betting strategy. And then this way, if you want to change it or bail or do whatever, you'll have the option to do that if it's hitting. If it doesn't, if you lose it all on a money line bet at New England, you're no worse off than where you started. You're exactly in the same place. The only way that wouldn't pay off more, the only way that doesn't pay off more than that is if Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson both get injured. You know, that's the only way the Chiefs are going to be favored in those games on the road. You don't want to go to Foxborough this January. Lousy spot. A lousy spot. And same thing with, Baltimore. They've never had home field advantage. They've never had it before. I have a feeling they're going to use it. How about the Kings having home ice advantage here against Bennington and the Blues? Rod's a big Bennington guy. 23-8 and 3-3 for the Blues. The Kings 15-19. Both these teams are decent on the puck line, home on the road, quick in the net. The Kings 4-4, 1-1, kind of, they are what they are.
For me, the Blues have just been quietly rolling, as in their last 10 games and been playing real good hockey. They don't fare so well in LA. They're like 4-13 the last 17, but that could be some Blues teams from before as well. So I like the Blues to come into LA here and get a nice win. I see this game as 3-1, 4-1. I'll take the Blues on the puck line here.
How about you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm going to go St. Louis in regulation. The Blues performed well on that road trip. But we've said before, sometimes it takes a game to get acclimated back to playing on home ice after being away for so long. And the defending champions aren't the team I want to see on the other side when you have to have that game. So I'll take St. Louis as well.
I like Houston minus the 6.5 against Georgia Tech. Absolute inverse line movement going the other way. But I think Houston is just so much the better team here than Georgia Tech that I got to take them. I don't know. It's, Houston certainly hasn't been at their best recently. They've won their last 2 games, but they lost to Oklahoma State. A little bit of a head scratcher in there. The loss to Oregon, I think, is forgivable, as is the 1-point loss to BYU. But when we look at Georgia Tech, they haven't really hung in with the better teams, and of course they got that 47-65 game against Ball State in there as well. Not a lot to love about that one. I don't know. The line looks funny. The inverse line movement looks funny. I'm not about to hop over to Honolulu to watch this one for sure, but I haven't been to Honolulu, actually, been there. We talked about this the other day. I haven't been in a while. I should go over there, check it out again. It's been a while for me. I'm going to take the Cougars, though, in this game. I think that I didn't do any video on this one or nothing. So, also, Hawaii against Washington. Hawaii's plus 6.5. I think that I talk a lot about the home field advantage for Hawaii. I think that in this game, I think it starts to go away a little bit because Washington has now been here for a couple days. I think that when you fly over, you have to get however many days you have, and then you got to play. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Oh yeah.
I know Ed left a comment on my YouTube video when I talked about this that he's never seen Breaking Bad. I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, go on iTunes or whatever and just get the whole series and just block out a month and sit down and watch it from start to finish. You will not regret it. I promise you, that's really probably one of the top TV shows. It's up there with Sopranos or any of those other ones. Really one of the best TV shows of all time. And watching it on the iTunes just means that you don't have to sit through commercials. And also, the spinoff, Better Call Saul, just as good, if not better, you know? Just as good. So I watch both those. I binge watch them both. I don't watch them on TV because I used to fly a lot. I haven't flown since September, and before that it was May. But normally, throughout the years doing this, I used to fly to Vegas all the time. And I'll probably start doing that again soon. But
have you been able to watch the movie El Camino?
No.
It was really good. It's on Netflix, I think.
El Camino?
Yeah, it's the Breaking Bad spin-off movie.
I'll have to watch it. El Camino is, and then there's the other one I want to see is The Irishman.
Yeah, someone told me it took them 5 days to get through it because they just kept falling asleep.
The Irishman?
I want to see it. I want to see a Scorsese movie. I haven't been able to see it yet.
Yeah, but I've heard both ways. I've heard the other side of it too. You know, it's a long movie. I mean, I know that.
3.5 hours.
Yeah, which is long for movies these days. But so is Casino. I mean, it's like that too.
That was a long movie, yeah.
Anyways, I like Washington in this game against Hawaii. I don't think Hawaii is that good. They're not. They've taken advantage of the home court. You know, they're 8-1 at home this season. And I thought like in games like that against. I think Better Call Saul's not over. They do 10 shows a season. I think it's just they're in between seasons, right? I hope so. I love that one. It's the Better Call Saul. It's like he's not even Saul Goodman yet. He's still Jimmy McGill. I love that. Saul Goodman. It's all good, man. My friend Rob Peters, he works in the Wild Card Gym with Freddie Roach, and he meets all kinds of celebrities because it's in L.A. and Manny Pacquiao there when it was heyday. He met all the celebrities, and he said like Freddie's assistant, who I've met, she was like, with like all the celebrities that have come through there, she ran and called Rob on the phone and said, Saul Goodman's here. It was like Rob got in his car, drove down there. They were like so excited that he came to the gym. Anyways, let's round it up here. Running a little hot on our show. Let's see what we got. Last one, Vegas up against the Avs. Fleury in the net. The Knights have been back in business recently. This is, in the history of expansion teams and any of this is still, this is their fourth season now, third season? Third season.
Third.
This is one of the greatest stories in the history of sports, this franchise. And we're talking, the Miami Dolphins went from 1966, and then in 1971 they made the Super Bowl. That, I believe, was one of the quickest that we've ever seen. But this Vegas team had made the finals in their first year. And it wasn't a fluke. Do you think it was just bad non-protection in the expansion draft that happened, or just a magical mix of players just in the right place at the right time together? Rod, what do you think?
They got a good expansion draft. There was lots of good players that were available that people didn't protect.
Was it just the rules not protecting?
Well, yeah, because you can only protect so many, right?
Right.
So
was it the rules not allowing the protection?
Yeah, so you have to put some of these guys out there, right? And then the guy that put it together was able to make a nice mix.
Not as easy as it looks. We've seen guys with good players. We've seen GMs with good players not be able to put it together a good team. You think Fleury was the big thing, though, right? Fleury?
Yeah. Fleury was the big piece puzzle.
And if you look at that, I'm looking at the draft results right now. Fleury was the second last player taken in that expansion draft. So it was sort of a multitude thing. It was a little bit of both, timing and guys not being protected. But there were still some good players they got. They got guys like Jonathan Marchessault from Florida. They got guys like Pierre-Edouard Bellemare from Philly. and they obviously got Marc-Andre Fleury. So it was just a great scenario for the Golden Knights in their first year.
We've seen expansion drafts in the NFL too. We've seen we haven't had one recently, but we have seen them, and generally it's the same thing with the protection, and we've seen it in baseball too. And it just rarely are they able to put together a viable team. A lot of it usually has to do with contracts. A lot of it has to do with some of it has to do with just too many guys. What do you do? It's like like I said, Andy Moog's not going to sit behind Grant Fuhr forever. You're not going to do it. And, Grant Fuhr's not going to sit behind Andy Moog forever. He might go to the treatment center for a little while, but he's going to come back and he's going to want to play. What do you think here in Vegas, though?
Yeah, I'm personally, I'm going to side with the under here. Both teams have been playing a defensive style lately, with Colorado's last 6 of their last 8 games going to the under. Well, Vegas, 8 of the last 9 have gone under as well. They're just going to play a low-scoring game here. I see it being 3-2, 2-1. I like the under 6 here.
How about you, Rod?
For me, I'm definitely I'll take Vegas here. Vegas is 5-1 the last 6 back-to-back. They like this back spot, and the Avs don't fare so well in Vegas. And I actually like the over here. I see 5-3 game. I'm going to take Vegas.
We've got 3 10 o'clock Eastern games tonight in NHL. So, I look at this, right, and I say to myself, man, Blues Vegas parlay maybe to get myself, if I'm having to round out my NHL to Friday. Is there anything here? Why don't we do the recaps and stuff, and we'll go from there. Who wants to lead us off, Chris?
Yeah, I'll go.
Go ahead.
So, let's start at the top of the hockey schedule. I got Toronto minus 125. I got Minnesota minus 117 against Calgary. I've got Washington at plus 105 against Boston, as well as in regulation at plus 175. And reverse puck line is Washington minus 1.5 at plus 305. I've got Columbus, New York. I've got the Islanders minus 1.5 at plus 160. I've got Philadelphia in regulation over the Rangers at minus 120. Tampa Bay in regulation over Florida minus 125. Ottawa at even money, as well as in regulation at plus 155. I've got Nashville on the money line against Arizona. I've got Montreal plus 105 against Winnipeg. I got Chicago, the Blackhawks, in regulation at minus 110, and my stronger play in that game is over 6. I got Vancouver minus 135 against Edmonton. St. Louis in regulation at plus 105 against the Kings. And under 6 in the Colorado-Vegas game. My 3-way birdcage for the NHL today, I'm going to go Ottawa, Washington, and Chicago at plus 1238. For the college hoops, I like Long Beach State plus 5 against Seattle. San Francisco minus 1.5 against Fresno State. Georgia State plus 8 against SMU. Washington minus 6.5 against Hawaii. And my lone NBA play today is going to be Portland minus 6 against New Orleans.
Sounds good. Did you have a parlay in there too?
Yeah, the 3-way. Yeah, the birdcage.
All right.
Ottawa, Washington, and Chicago all in regulation.
All right, Rod, we're on you.
All right, I'm going to take the Blues. Blues on the puck line here. I think they can win by a couple here in LA. I'm going to take the Leafs to beat Carolina. I really like the under 6 in that game. I like the Flames to go into Minnesota, even though they're on a back-to-back, and get a win. I like Tampa Bay on the puck line to beat Florida. I like Washington over Boston here. Boston just scary. I like Columbus to get their 5th win in a row and over the Islanders. I like the Flyers to win on the puck line over the Rangers. I'm going to take Ottawa on the money line over Buffalo. I like the Jets to beat Montreal on the money line. I like Nashville on the puck line over the Coyotes on a back-to-back. I like the Blackhawks here on the puck line, playing way better hockey, going for their third win in a row. I like Vegas here on the money line over the Avs, 5-1 on the back-to-back there. I'm going to take a shot with the Oilers at the Canucks, and I really like the under in that game. The NFL game tonight, I'm going to take the Vikings minus 4.5. College football, I'm going to take UCF minus 15. NBA, I like the Bulls at plus 5, the Wizards at plus 3.5, the Heat minus 4.5, Indiana minus 6. And I've got 2 bird cages today. I'm going to go 3-teamer on the money line. I'm going to take Vegas, Washington, and the Flames, all on the money line, plus 704. And I'm going to take a puck line bird cage. I'm going to take Nashville on the puck line, Blues on the puck line, Tampa on the puck line, plus 1639.
All right, thank you guys. I took the Pacers, the Sixers, the Warriors, UCF, Houston Cougars in basketball, and Washington in basketball. I got a 3-team parlay for you as well. The New York Knickerbockers, who went from pick'em game to minus 4.5, and I think rightfully so. The Wizards are playing god-awful lately. I like the Nuggets here on the back-to-back. This is the type of game where they take care of business. They've won 6 games in a row, the Nuggets, and I know LeBron wasn't playing last night, and I know they're on a back-to-back. I understand all those things before you guys say all that stuff in the comments, which is cool. But the thing is, I do know that. But the thing about the Nuggets is against the lesser teams, they take care of business. And while I love the way the Suns were playing earlier this season, I hate the way they're playing now. I also like the Memphis Grizzlies against the Spurs. I think the Grizz are kind of like how the Sixers and the Nets were for me a few years ago as they went through the process. The Grizzlies are my team right now. I'm not saying they're going to stay that way all year, but they are right now. Just 6-11 at home, but 8-9 against the number, 6-4 against the number in the last 10 games, 5-5 straight up. The Spurs are favored here by a point, but they're just 2-9 straight up on the road. Explain to me how that makes any kind of sense at all. But that's going to be my 3-team parlay for today. But anyways, we'll see the Puck Dogs again on Friday. I'll be back tomorrow. It's a light schedule, so we'll talk about something. We always do. I'll give out picks for. We got a bowl game tomorrow. We got a little bit of college hoops, and then on Christmas Day, I got 5 NBA games. On the day after Christmas, we got NBA again, and really that's about it. And we have college football on the day after, and then we go back to Friday where NBA, mild college basketball, I think, right, Chris, on Friday? Chris is kind of I know he writes, so he looks at the schedule. But Friday's like a mild college basketball schedule.
I think there's 10 games. Or no, sorry, it's 2 games. 2 games.
2 games
and then
on
it goes
Friday.
Right into
so we'll cover those. We'll do the NHL is a giant schedule. The NBA has a moderate schedule for a Friday, but Saturday is just a whopper of a schedule. And of course, Saturday going to be an extravaganza because we got the 4 college football bowl games when we start talking serious business in college football. And of course, we got the 2 playoff games are on Saturday this year. So big break between the playoff games and the championship game. I don't know. It's like they have this giant break and then they take another giant break. But it doesn't really matter. We'll cover it all. We always do. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. And actually, Friday we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 college football games on Friday. Some pretty good ones in there, too. Not necessarily great teams, but kind of some interesting names. Actually, on Thursday, we have 2 college football games as well. So we got plenty of action here. This is Mitch for the Puck Dogs. If you are taking it off for the holidays, enjoy the holidays, and if Apple doesn't remind you that tomorrow is Christmas Eve, I'm here to remind you. This is Mitch for the Puck Dogs. Thank you guys, man. Have a happy holiday if I don't see you. If not, I'll see you guys tonight during Monday Night Football at halftime, right? So have a good rest of the day. I'll see you guys in about 9 or 10 hours.